Welcome everybody to this session where you're going to have the opportunity to experience and see what three amazing innovators have done. You're gonna have a chance to see what Juan Manuel Lopera, Jane Ehrenfeld, and Rodrigo de Armas have done in 3 different countries actually, so Colombia, Uruguay, and the US. You're going to also have the opportunity to realize that innovation can come from every country and everywhere. I'm going to just quickly run through the dynamic of the session. There's going to be 3 presentations, 15 minutes each. Actually, they were given 14, but we're going to give them 1 extra minute. It's always welcome. And there's not going to be any time for Q&A, sorry about that, but at 5 o'clock you're going to have a chance at the reception and innovations fair that we are presenting. You're going to have a chance to actually see, touch the things that they are going to present you and interact with them, ask them any question you might have, and eventually share contacts so that you can follow up and start future cooperation. You never know. Okay, so we're going to start with Juan Manuel. Juan Manuel has an amazing life story. He comes from Colombia, from a very violent neighborhood. And he decided at some point that he wanted to find a way to make accessible to every child in Colombia through the advantages of technology, the different tools and pedagogical practices that he had experienced later on in his life. So he created Aulas Amigas. He's the founder and the CEO. And I'm not going to go further. Please go ahead and share with us your amazing innovation.
Thank you so much. I don't know if it's... Now it's turned on? Yeah. It's my first presentation in English, so I'm a little bit afraid. I hope you understand everything I say. This is Medellin. This is the most innovative city in the world in 2013. And it's the 4th coolest city to visit in the world, according with Forbes recently. However, it wasn't ever like this. It was a little bit worse in the past. Maybe some of you know that in the 90s, Medellin was the most violent city in the world. While in US, there was 8 murders per each 100,000 people. In Colombia, there were 400 per each 100,000 people or citizens. There were 400 murders per year. So that was the reason, because it was the most violent city in the world. And I don't know if you can imagine where's the possibility, the probability that a kid that is growing up in a violent town, a drugs town of Medellin in 90s, how probably is that he's going to become a good person. He's going to give something to his society instead of becoming one more murder in that list of murders in Medellin. So that's me. I was growing up. My mother said I was beautiful when I was that was when I was beautiful, and I was growing up in a violent town, in a violent neighborhood in Latin America, and in Medellin. Before I was 12, my grandpa, my aunt, my cousin, my friends, even some teachers were murdered before I was 12. And my family and I should be locked in our home before 8 because there was some paramilitary groups that thought that they need to clean the violence. And the way to do it is going to the poor towns and killing everybody after 8. So what is the probability that I could be a good person in the middle of that violence? And I can tell you that the unique reason because I was different, it was because of a great teacher that I had. When I was 12, there was a teacher that I said he was like a superhero because they spend time that the government didn't pay for because they had a very low salary. However, they invest their own time for giving us the support and the motivation and the inspiration for doing something different than going to the corners in our town and taking a weapon or taking drugs. So finally, to make a summarize, I finally create a company dedicated for teachers. We are a more than 200 people team today working for teachers in all the world. We have our own, a lot of presence, more than 100,000 of our devices that we are going to show you a little bit more. But we have become the most innovative company in EdTech in Latin America, according with MIT Tech Review the last year. So the question is how to reply or how to make that this happen again and again. The same history that I had with my teacher, how to make more teachers doing this, like something like this. Finally, this is the main purpose of the education. I want to say that actually, what is the purpose of education if not causing that the people that don't have any opportunity to change their life, finally they can change their own life and change the life from others that is around them. So what is the key for making these changes? And I want to tell you that even the public policies are very important, the technology are very important, but my teacher didn't know anything about public policies and didn't know nothing about technology. Even they never went to the university to become a teacher. He only ends his high school, and after that he becomes a teacher. So maybe the solution is not only in the public policies of education or technology for education. The answer that I want to give you is something about teachers who inspire. There are some soft skills in the teachers beyond the ability or the capacity for them for creating, for using technology or for making coding or something like that. There's something more important than that inside the teachers that we need in emerging countries for making the difference in the education. So if you are watching that URL, I suggest you to take note of this. It is Teachers Who Inspire, because I'm going to give a Tommy, the device, for someone of you that go inside that URL at the end. So the question is how make Teachers Who Inspire in 21st century? Because it's more difficult, all the days it's more difficult for a teacher to inspire their students. Their students of the 21st century is harder and harder to be engaged and inspired by the teachers. So the answer that we are listening in all the world is innovation in the education. That looks like the magic word that becomes the solution for the most of the problems that we have in the education. However, we also find hundreds of tech tools that was put inside the classrooms in Latin America, for example, without any success. And the result of that, or the answer of the reason why the technology is not being used, is ever the same. That the problem is the teachers. That the teacher decide not to use the technology inside the classroom. So my team and I was thinking about this and thinking, what should we do for getting really success inside the classroom with technology? And when we try to figure out the answer, we find that there are many challenges that the teacher actually had beyond just teaching with technology inside the classroom. Teaching is only one of the pedagogical moments that the teacher is facing inside the classroom. They need to make planning based on context, based on projects. They have more challenge for making their classes in the 21st century. But also they need to go to the classroom and engage their students that now they are more multimedial, that they are using Instagram, Snapchat. So they need support in how to make more engagement during teaching. But they also spend a lot of time and effort evaluating. And the evaluating process should be better and better because they only don't need to know if the students know or don't know something. They need to support personalizing the education to the students about the evaluation results. I'm so sorry again for my English. But after that, the teacher needs to be in contact with the parents. the education is not a challenge only for the teachers, it's a challenge for the family. So the communication is so important. In theory, the teachers need to be in contact with the parents each one per day, one time per day, as less. And for example, I was visiting a school here in Bethesda, and I see that in Bethesda, even in US, the teacher had 50 students in the same classroom. So how is it possible that the teachers can't talk with 50 parents per day? And making it working is also a challenge that the teachers have with other teachers to learn about how to teach in the 21st century and growing professionally. And in the base, the metrics and connectivity is a common thing. So what kind of technology does the teacher needs to improve the education? And finally, they have to understand how to use in a lot of tools, not only technology as a classmate or like a digital whiteboard or a laptop inside the classroom, but also they need to know a lot of hundreds of technology that they need to deal with. But the average teacher doesn't know how to use all this technology inside the classroom. So that was something that really happened in other sectors. For example, for being a 21st century citizen, you need to know how to use a GPS, a digital camera, a internet connection, something like that. And my mother, for example, never understood how to use a digital camera and a GPS. However, when there appears a device that my mother understood how to use it for like an iPhone, so she becomes a 21st century citizen. So the question is, what is the device, what is the technology that we should to invent so that the teachers can improve their lives using technology and each one of these challenge. And that was the way how we invent Tommy. That finally, this is like the Alexa or the personal assistant for the teachers. This is something that actually the teacher, more than 10,000 teachers have already bought from us in Latin America. This is a personal assistant that helps the teacher to planning, teaching, and a lot of other things that I'm going to show you fast because my time is ending. However, this is breaking the gap of the connectivity inside the classroom. So, for example, I have here in my device 1,000 of digital contents from internet connected with Tommy. Tommy synchronizes all the content that the teacher is going to use in the classroom. And in that rural area where there's not internet, or in that urban area where a poor quality internet, the teacher can use it to share internet with all the classrooms and serve in internet like if there's actually a connection. So it's an academy for teachers. The teacher find their resource for learning. This is a curricular planning assistance. The teacher can plan better and easier their classes. There are a repository of thousands of free digital contents that the teacher can use and synchronize for sharing it with the students inside their classrooms. This is a course creator, so that the teacher can create their own contents and share it with other teachers. This is a quiz bank, so they can play with the students inside the classroom. This is a digital whiteboard. I will not have time for this, but maybe you'd see it while I was starting. You can put Tommy in front of any projector, and it's going to become interactive with this pen. So I don't know if you can see the mouse there. So it's a digital whiteboard, an interactive one, very easy to use. But it's also an augmented reality device, so you can put augmented reality contents inside the classroom using Tommy. And it's also a rating system, so the teacher spends a lot of time rating exams, and when they make the rating, they don't know what to do with the results of the exams, so they only need to put the paper in front of Tommy, and Tommy is going to rate it, and it's going to send a personalized improvement plan to the students. So he's helping to the teacher to teach. This is an automated offline login. This is like attendance taking. So the students only need to show a QR to the Tommy, and he's going to log the student inside the classroom. This is a communication with parents, because everything that is happening inside the classroom, for example, the results of the exams, is going to be sent into a free application to the parents, where the results of the exams and the recommendation of how to improve the level of the students. And almost finishing. This is a portable personal computer. What you are seeing there, it's a computer as well. So we have Word, Excel, PowerPoint, everything that the teachers need in the same device. And finally, as I told you, it's a local interactive content network. When you turn Tommy on, there's going to appear a Wi-Fi connection that wasn't before, and the students can connect to it and surf in internet and take matrix of the education. So that's all. That's what we are doing. We are working for teachers. I think we need to make technology for improve the life of the teachers, so the result is going to be better students. In teacherswhoinspire.com, if you go there and you put your information, we are going to sort a Tommy for someone of yours. So you are invited to go and sign in. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great. Just one quick note for everybody. All the presentations that you're going to be seeing today are going to be available at the website in, Aline, I think a couple of days, right? Or so? Yeah? Yeah. So you can actually have access to all the content that is going to be presented today. The next great innovator, is Jane. And Jane actually doesn't use technology to innovate, and that's just pen and paper. She's actually the executive director of the Center for Inspired Teaching, but actually when I asked her before the presentation, how do you want me to introduce you? She said, I'm a teacher. And so what she's gonna talk about is a way to work with teachers so that they can motivate students. And when she was telling me about, when the students wake up in the morning, they don't want to go to school. I have 3 kids, and I know about that. So we are so eager to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have 3 kids, too, and they also often do not want to go to school in the morning, so I understand. And maybe we can talk a little bit about why they don't want to go to school in the morning. So before we do that, let's start with some math. Where are we here? I need your help solving some math problems. Okay? We're going to be super innovative right now. So let's start over here. 57 times 6. So what do I do? Can somebody just help me go through this? What do I do first? Anyone? 6 times 7? So I'm going to put the 2 down here. 4 up here. Whoa, that's unstable. Okay, what do I do next? 5 times 6 is? Come on, shout it out. 30, and I've got a... So I've got... That's my answer. Agree? Thumbs up? We're good? Okay, cool. How about this? 138 plus 74. Super challenging. Should we go through it? 8 plus 4? 12. I'm going to put the 2. Carry the 1. 11, so I'm going to put my 1 down here. Everyone agree? We got it right? Awesome. How many of you saw those math problems up there and had a bit of a sense of a unpleasant feeling maybe in the pit of your stomach? Right? How many of you felt like, oh, gosh, we're going to do math and we're going to do this kind of math? How many of you I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands because I think I know the answer. How many of you remember being a student and showing up for school super excited about something? You were interested in something, you were excited, you were ready to learn, and you walked into your classroom, whatever grade level, whatever age. How many of you remember walking out at the end of class feeling like all that creativity had been kind of stomped out of you, right? Feeling uninspired, disconnected, disengaged. When I talk to audiences and I pose the question, how many teachers do you remember from your childhood experience who made you excited to go to school every day, who really connected to you, who made your education feel relevant and engaging? Most people can think of maybe at most 3, 4, 5, if they're lucky. Some people had a really, really incredible education. We'll just put those to the side for a second. But I can think of about 3. I can think of my 5th grade teacher, my 11th grade English teacher, my history teacher in high school who were extraordinary and who made me excited to come to school every day. And the rest of them, it was a blur. And I didn't want to walk into their classrooms because what they were doing didn't feel relevant. It didn't feel interesting. It felt kind of like that, right? Just sitting and doing the same old stuff every day, memorizing a lot of facts and formulas. 70% of American students today associate school with negative emotions. That's shocking. 70% associate school with negative emotions. They're bored, they're stressed, they're disengaged. I would be willing to bet that of the 30% who don't associate school with negative emotions, a whole bunch of them are happy at school because of things that have nothing to do with what's happening in their actual classrooms. Maybe they're in drama club and that's why they get up in the morning. Maybe they're on a team. But 70% are unhappy in school. And when they're unhappy in school, their disengagement rates go up, their dropout rates go up, their attendance rates go down. We know this. And it's not surprising, right, when they're walking into classrooms that feel disconnected, unexciting, uninspiring. And Juan Manuel, I agree with you completely. I think teachers who inspire, we call them inspired teachers, they don't necessarily need technology, and the technology, when it's available, is amazing. So you'll get to see it. You got to see a little bit before. You'll get to see some next. There'll be some at the Innovations Fair, and it's incredible. And yes, students are absolutely excited to engage with these technologies, and teachers too. But what happens if you don't have the technology, right? What happens if you're in a place where you can't engage with the technology, or the technology is maybe just a little part of the day? So at Inspired Teaching, what we believe is that the most critical innovation in education is actually rethinking school, rethinking how teachers teach and how students learn. That if we can do one thing to really tremendously innovate, and we can do it in a million different ways with a ton of different technologies, we are going to think about how to create school contexts where students are authentically engaged in and inspired by what they learn. So the way to do that, we think, is through the teacher, right? That the teacher is the lever for change. Again, we absolutely agree that teachers are the levers for change here. And it might be daunting to think about different teachers in different contexts, different schools, different grade levels, all transforming their teaching. But I absolutely can tell you that it can be done. We've been doing it for 22 years here in the DC area, and it's absolutely possible. So I want you to stop for a second and imagine a world where kids are actually excited to come to school every day. What if I told you that here in DC, Inspired Teaching runs 2 different programs for high school students, arguably the most bored of all of the students, where the students come from across the city on a weeknight, on their own time, to engage with us in history classes and to engage with their peers on social justice and current events. And they do it for nothing more than the chance to learn with us. Some of them get course credit, a few of them, but most of them are getting on trains and traveling across the city on their own time at night because they are so hungry to have these authentic learning experiences. And what they tell us when we ask is they're not getting them in school. They are hungry. We give them pizza, but that is definitely not the hunger that we are feeding. And the pizza is not so good that it explains why they're getting on the metro at night when they're tired and they have homework to do to come and engage with us. So can you think back to the activity I led earlier? Thank you for this bag of rocks, we call it. So taking a challenge or a perceived obstacle and turning it into an opportunity. We have to do that. And in a lot of contexts, students are leading the way for that. We have a really tragic example right now in the United States around gun control. We see students taking an incredibly challenging situation and demanding change and bringing it into their schools and engaging with their teachers and their principals and their school districts and saying something has to be different. And that's amazing. But I've also encountered schools where they're doing this in incredible different ways across the United States, and I'm guessing it's happening around the world in isolated schools where students are being involved and engaged in their own learning. It is not surprising, as I've said, that getting kids to even show up to school is an incredible challenge. So in the United States, we have dropout problems, we have attendance problems, we have engagement problems. I'm guessing a lot of you work in contexts where that's even harder, right? We're just getting kids to show up for school is even harder. And believe me, I am not minimizing at all how the real challenges that keep kids from getting to school, right? Violence in their communities and taking care of siblings, supporting a family. I've taught in those contexts. I absolutely understand. But that cannot explain the entirety of the problem. It just can't. And I know for certain that kids will move heaven and earth to get to school if school is a place where they want to be. They absolutely will. And so we've got to do things differently. We've got to stop beating our heads against the same wall and packaging the same old compliance-based direct instruction in fancier packages and thinking that we've changed anything. So, how do we do that? It can be through educational technology, and it can be as simple as the teacher and the students and some really innovative teacher training. So that's what we do at Inspired Teaching. We do innovative teacher training, and we use, as I mentioned before, the basics of improvisational theater to help teachers learn how to engage with each other and their students. So let's go back to math for a second. I was going to do 12, but I do not have space for 12. So 6 folks to come on up here to do a little bit of math with me. Please do not be shy. I promise you this will not be painful. 6 people. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. I need 3 more. Yeah, just stand right here. Awesome. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fabulous. Okay. So I have 6 people here. Agreed? We're starting with 6 folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome.
Gender balance.
Yes, we are gender balanced. Excellent. Oh. Without talking, will half of the people standing up here put their hands on their heads? Half of you. Thumbs up. Half of the people on stage have their hands on their heads. Fabulous. Yes. Keep your hands there. Sorry, you're going to have to do that for a little longer. Will 1/3 of the people who have their hands on their heads come over here with me? 1/3 of the people with their hands on their heads. Keep your hands on your heads. Okay, keep your hand on your head. Yep, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to ask you to move over a tiny bit here. Awesome. Okay, keep your hands there just for a minute more, I promise. Okay. What's the math problem we just solved? Where did we start? What did we start with? 6. Okay, so I started with 6. What did I do next? Half of 6. So in English, I'll just say, we would explore this a little further if we had more time, but when we say half of 6, what are we talking about? Anybody know the operation we're talking about?
A division or a fraction?
So we're talking, right, division of a whole number or multiplication of a fraction. We're talking about multiplication. So 6 times a half. You agree? We've done 6 times a half. Then what did we do next? Times a third. Okay. Where do we get? 1. Where did we end up? With 1. 6 times 1/2 times 1/3 equals 1. Everybody agree? Okay, cool. Thank you, volunteers. I appreciate it. Okay. I think the hardest part of that was just holding your hands the whole time. Okay, so now let's go back to the math problems we started with, or you can think about this math problem. How many of you were doing a formula that you'd memorized? Sometime in school. As you started to do this, you knew the formula, 7 times 6 is 42. I heard a lot of that, right? How many of you, if I had started over here, and I had just put this, where is it, problem up on the board, would have solved it the way you were taught in the school. So we multiply the numerators, we multiply the denominators, we reduce the fraction if necessary. Bam, we have an answer. How many of you would have really, really engaged with why multiplying fractions works the way it does, right? You wouldn't have. You would have missed that. Okay, so now imagine you're a student and you're standing in the hallway of a school. And on the left side, there's a classroom where they're learning math, the interesting way, I would call it. They're learning math by engaging fully, physically, emotionally. They're fully involved in their learning. And on the right side, they're learning math with a formula. Which side do you choose? And I've definitely engaged with students, with teachers in the training when I pose this question, where they say they would pick the side with the direct instruction. Why? It's easier, right? You can memorize a formula, we're done. But I'm going to end by asking you, challenging you to think about what the purpose of education is. Is the purpose of education to get compliant students as fast as possible through the education system, having memorized a bunch of facts and some skills that are probably going to be obsolete by the time that they graduate? Or is the purpose of education to create authentically engaged, excited learners who are prepared for the incredibly complex, fast-changing world that they're about to inherit? Which one is our purpose? You have to educate for the purpose you want. We believe that that path lies directly through the teacher, and that by training teachers a little differently, or a lot differently actually, than what we're used to, we can help them create classrooms where students are incredibly excited to come to school every day, and where they graduate preparing to inherit the world that we're handing them. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jane. Rodrigo, please. So our next speaker, we are actually now moving back to robots. We left technology for a while, and we're going back to technology. Rodrigo is the co-founder and director of UE Robot. He comes from Uruguay, and he started off as an entrepreneur, but he became actually a social entrepreneur. And I was talking to him before, and he told me the story. It's a wonderful story, too. He was an engineering student, and they were trying to build a tip robot. And so, but it was really when they tested the robot with the students, that he saw the magic in the eyes of a child. So he actually saw the eureka moment when the child could actually make the robot do what he wanted to do, or she wanted to do. I don't know if it was a girl or boy. Good, very politically correct answer. He is actually has been trying to lower the cost of accessing technology for kids, and this is the robot that he's going to present us. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm going to talk about robotics. Yeah, I'm not a teacher. I'm a robotics student. So this is our view of this thing. So as I'm going to talk about robotics, let me ask you a question. Yeah, how do you imagine robots? Let's see. Let's close your eyes for a moment, please. All of you, close your eyes. All of you. Great. Now, please imagine a robot. All of you imagine a robot? Yes. Perfect. Now open your eyes. I already have the answer that I'm going to ask. These robots are like the one that you imagine? Yeah. Well, we have workshops in schools and in high schools, and we ask every kid in our workshops that the first thing in the workshop is to draw a robot. Yeah, imagine a robot, please draw it. And these are the actual drawings of the kids. Well, all of you, all of us, because all of us imagine the robots in that way. I have, I don't know, but thousands of these drawings, and 95% of the kids draw like this. Yeah, an humanoid, like robot. Great. So, we try in WeRobot to change that mind. Yeah, we try to engage children in the STEAM field using robotics. We develop different robots and different materials to teach these kind of things. So, what we try to do is that the kids, when we ask them where people make robots, they said, like in Japan, in the USA, the NASA. No, you can do robotics in Uruguay. So, in 2014, with my friend Sean Pereira, we founded WeRobot. Since the first moments of our startup, we give all that we have to that startup. Our life become WeRobot. So it is a good thing. WeRobot have increased the revenue, the team over these years, and nowadays we are 6 people. We are a little team, but in Uruguay it's a very good team, I think, and we have now offices in Uruguay and in Costa Rica. So, what we make back in 2014 was this robot. This is the Boutier robot. It's like a car for a computer. If you know something about the education in Uruguay, you can know that in Uruguay in 2008, Plan Ceibal give 1 computer per every child in school age. In 2008, we don't have all the electronic devices we have nowadays, so every child had a computer. They had the most, the priciest thing of a robot, yeah, the computer. So we made this robot that used the computer as part of it. You put the computer over the robot, you connect it through USB, and you can program the robot. Yeah. This is a great robot developed by us in the Faculty of Engineering when I was a student. And we love what we do here. We make the robots accessible. No, remember that we are in Uruguay and it's South America, and a lot of things don't happen there. So, sorry. We work in the university, we made this robot, and after that, the project finished. So we want to continue with that development, and we think that this robot needs a little tweak. Yeah. So we made it, we productized it, we make it a product, and we start selling these robots. What's the great thing in this robot? It's that you can make it, or every kid can make it. Yeah. We designed all the pieces in the robot, yeah, the electronics, the platform, all in the robot, that it's completely open source. You have all the plans, software, firmware, all in the internet. And we developed the electronics in a way that you can build the electronics with an iron, with soldering iron, and with a drill. Yeah, with that's the most complicated tool that you have to use. In that way, we try to make every kid a developer. Yeah, every kid may hack this robot. Well, what it has, another thing that it's great from the robot, it's that it comes with sensors, with a basic set of sensors like a distance sensor, grayscale sensor, light sensor, but also you can make your own sensors. You have some generic modules that you can easily make some new sensors. For example, temperature sensor, Hall effect sensor, I don't know, whatever you imagine. And these sensors are plug and play, so you don't know how the electronics work, but you can plug it and make it work. So, also, it have compatibility, mechanical compatibility with Lego, with Meccano, with all the kits that were in Uruguay at that moment. Great. This robot is used not only in Uruguay. We have some of these robots in Nepal, some in Costa Rica, some in Honduras, and some of them are in the USA, in San Francisco. Very less than the quantity of robots that we want, but it's a start. So, for what teachers are using these robots? For example, in this case, a teacher in Uruguay wants to teach the children about how light pollution affects the nocturnal animals. Nothing to do with robotics. So the teacher made the children make a simulation. Yeah, now the robot is a bat, and the bat follow a path with light sensors, and if the children, this is a hand of a children, if the children don't put the light, the robot go to the cave, and if the children put a light, the robot get lost, and in this case, the cave become destroyed. Yeah. So in that way, the children learn about robotics, learn about the subject that they have to learn, but also they learn about robotics, they learn about math, they learn about programming, they learn about teamwork, all that things. And it's a great video on YouTube. You can check it out. Well, a Rocketry Association in Uruguay, oh, it's horrible. Well, a Rocketry Association in Uruguay used the USB for Boutia, the electronics of the robots, to measure and plot the graph of the thrust of a rocket engine. Yeah, they use a load cell and the programming language that we develop. I use it to plot that graph. Different usings of this robot. Well, it's great. It's a great robot, but we find some things with the years that we need to make a little change. Yeah, in Uruguay or in South America, there are three problems in robotics. One is the price of the robots. Yeah, we try to make every child make one, but that don't happen. We try to lever the price, but it's still prices. That's one problem. Another problem is the availability of these robots. If you have the money, you can't buy the robot because there's no place to buy it. And also the lack of resources. We don't have we have less than we have that we want. Resources. Yeah, we don't have resources in Spanish, for example. So we want to change that. And we are now developing a new robot, what is called this one. Yeah. Now some of them is going to pass around. Well, this robot could be used as toy or first robot. We are going to try, it will be going for children from 4 years and all. We are going to lower the price for around $100. We are developing the different mobile apps and programming environments, for this kind of children, and we are very focused on contents. There are lots of content that we are making for kids, for parents, and for educators. Well, but we have developed a programming environment that is called Turtlebot. It's based in TurtleArt, software developed by Walter Bender in Sugar Labs or in OLPC. We added the support for different robotic kits, for Lego, for Butia, that's the robot that we have before, for Octi, for Arduino. And also we are developing some other programming environment for children that are 4 years old. Well, this is not only an idea, it's a reality. We have some prototypes and we have tested it in our workshops and in the European Robotic Weeks, and you can go and test it in the innovation fairs in a while. So what we are doing now, we are continuing, we continue to make workshops. We are trying to finish the development of this robot and trying to make it happen and to make it $100 the cost. Thank you very much. And see you later in the Innovators.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Thank you, every one of you, for the audience, for being here and sharing these experiences with us. I just want to just quickly summarize with a few takeaways that I wrote from the session. I actually think there was a bottom line between the three presentations, and it's very connected with teachers. And the first one is a teacher can touch a child, and a child can later touch millions and change their lives through technology. That's one of the things that I learned from Juan Manuel. From Jane, I learned that we need to rethink how teachers teach and how students learn so that they can get inspired and excited to go to school every day. And from Rodrigo, I actually learned that everybody can make a robot, which is great news for kids, but it's also great news for teachers. So thank you so much for those. And before we leave, I just have a quick announcement. There's going to be a raffle of one of the Tommies. So, but for that, you need to register at teacherswhoinspire.com. So you go there, you register, and you will be participating in a raffle to win one of those. And final, just a reminder, please remember that at 5 o'clock, there's going to be a reception. And during the reception, you're going to have the opportunity in the Innovations Fair to actually look, touch, experience, ask questions to our three great innovators. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos from Brookings.